let's talk about alt text in Articulate Storyline. It might surprise you that you have to do alt text not only for images, but for your shapes and buttons and any other elements on your slide as well. It might sound like a lot. I promise it gets easier the more that you do it. I do have some tips and tricks to make it a little bit easier for you. But first, let's start with a demonstration of why alt text is so important. I'm going to demonstrate using a screen reader to read an inaccessible slide that does not have alt text added, nor does it have any of its elements marked as decorative. All right, so I'm using the Articulate preview to look at my slide here. The entire project is previewed. I'm going to use my keyboard to navigate because that's how someone using a screen reader navigates. I am using the NVDA screen reader, which is free and open source, but it is Windows only. I do have a link in the show notes if you want to try it out yourself. All right, so listen up and see how this goes for someone using a screen reader. This is my title slide here for my project.
Clickable frame slide, title slide.
All right, so did you hear that? It read the name of the slide.
Main landmark graphic nature 52230161920.jpg.
Oof. All right, so that's the background landscape image. That's this right here, and it read the file name for it because it does not have alt text.
Saguaro National Park.
That was fine. That was a title on the slide.
Rectangle.
Rectangle. That's this transparent rectangle down below. Ooh, that's just decorative. They don't need to hear that.
Button let's go.
Button let's go. That one's pretty clear here. If you hit enter, it'll take you to the next slide. All right, so I will keep this short and sweet. That's a good demo of why everything on your slide needs to have alt text, because if you have someone using a screen reader, they're going to be navigating this with their ears and they don't need to hear every single element being read aloud. So let's go into Storyline and see how to fix it. I exited out of my screen reader. Now I am in the Storyline editing mode proper. Adding alt text to your content is really easy. You can select something, right click it, pop over into the accessibility on that menu, and you can enter your text here. All right, this one I do want to stay visible to accessibility tools. The alt text of Saguaro National Park is fine because that's what the shape has in it. It is a box shape that has text in it. Totally fine. Let's take a look at something else. So we'll right click on that background image. We'll choose accessibility. Now it's always by default checked that objects in your project are going to be visible to accessibility tools, always. So anything that should not be visible to an accessibility tool, to a screen reader, you must uncheck, okay? It's one of the reasons it's better to start a project with accessibility in mind so that you don't have to go through your entire project and remediate, because you're being smart from the beginning about the items that you include and about the strategies used to build your project in order to make things accessible from the start. So this, I do want it to be visible to accessibility tools, but I hate that file name being read aloud. So my goal here for alt text, and your goal for all alt text, should first be to keep it short and sweet, to keep it to about 120 characters, I believe, or less. Any longer than that, and you should mark something as decorative and maybe write a longer description below in regular text. So keep it short and sweet. The second item, though, is to make it an equivalent experience, okay? So if you've got a user or a learner that is not sighted, what would make that object an equivalent experience to someone that is sighted and that is viewing it with their eyeballs? That includes not just the learning content, but whatever feelings that you wish to evoke. So consider whether an image needs to be included in the experience or not based on whether it's an equivalent experience or not. If you provide an image because it's meant to evoke a feeling and that's important to the experience, then it should have equivalent alt text. That's what I'm doing here with this image. I have this beautiful image I found of Saguaro National Park at sunset. It's an incredible Sonoran desert vista, so I'm going to write alt text that reflects that. So I'll write something like the sun sets over a desert vista. A variety of green cacti and native desert plants. I don't love this. I'm gonna edit that a little bit. Over a desert vista that features a variety of green cacti and native desert plants. Okay, I'm not a poet. It's good enough. They do have a item here, limit text to a maximum of 150 characters. The reason for that is if someone's browsing through images using a screen reader, it's going to read everything, and that can be a bit of an excessive experience if your alt text goes too long there. So I tend to aim for more 100 characters, 120, 150 is fine. It always depends on who your audience is. All right, so I'm leaving this checked. It's going to be visible. Here's the alternative text, and that's what's going to be read. So what else do I have here on my slide? I've got this rectangle. Remember that rectangle got read out loud. I can choose accessibility here. I'm just going to uncheck it. That's it. So what that does is it actually empties out the alternative text. So if you had a web page, for instance, and you're coding, there's an actual alt text code that goes into the image code in your HTML. If that code is empty, if the alt text section is empty, then the screen reader does not read the image. Great, right? I'm just including this rectangle because it is purely decorative. I don't have to worry about someone experiencing that in an equivalent manner. It would just clutter up their experience, so that's all I have to do. So that's the short and sweet of alt text. I can make sure in my timeline here I've covered all the elements that need alt text. The button's fine. It says let's go. It reads the text out. I don't have to worry about that. There is one other way to edit your alt text and make sure you get all of the elements on your slide, because sometimes you do have a lot of elements. To do that, you will pop over to Home and you will select Focus Order. Now this is a little bit crammed because I'm on a small screen here, but you'll select Focus Order. We'll talk about focus order in a future video. But you can see here for each item, it's got the alternative text listed out here, and you can edit it. So if I wanted to change the alt text as I'm also selecting the focus order, I can do that. Because I marked that rectangle, that semi-transparent rectangle as decorative, it does not appear on the focus order screen. So that's another way to quickly go through all your elements and make sure the accessibility is there because there is alternative text. We will cover focus order and other accessibility features in Storyline in another video. I'm Lindsay, and I cover instructional design, e-learning development, and all things online teaching and learning.